The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program. Coming up on House Hazards.
3, 2, 1!
Nature's fury is unleashed. Floods, hail, fire, and even snow. The team is braving the elements and the hazards they cause. Home, sweet home. Well, not as sweet as you might think. Your house is really out to get you. There are thousands of hazards hiding in every home, and our team of experts will separate the fiction from the facts so you can avoid domestic meltdown. Scientist Francesca will expose the hidden dangers lurking in every home. Engineer Dan will show you how everyday appliances can turn from labor-saving to life-threatening. And special effects expert Brendan will recreate the worst-case scenario. Over its lifespan, a house will face all different kinds of hazards, and this house has seen most of them.
That house is in rough shape.
But while we can prevent many of these disasters from happening, others are in the hands of Mother Nature, and it's up to us to protect ourselves as best we can.
Ready?
Yeah. Bring the platform in right above the buckets. Brendan, I'm in the tree right now. Can you try to negotiate a little better, please?
Today, the team is going to test how well we're protected from two hazards that together cause over $10 billion a year in damages.
Easy does it, Brendan.
When Mother Nature wants to be, she can be very hazardous. From tornadoes to earthquakes to avalanches. But today, we're gonna see which is worse, a hailstorm or a flood.
First up is a hailstorm. Hail forms when ice from storm clouds begins melting into rain. If an updraft of wind draws it back up, it refreezes, adding an extra layer of ice, creating the hailstone. As this cycle of thawing and refreezing repeats itself, the hailstone grows until eventually there are large chunks of ice falling from the sky. To demonstrate the trouble that a hailstorm can cause, Francesca's planned a full-on assault. Dan and Brendan will be firing a pair of high-powered industrial vacuums filled to the brim with salt rocks, simulating the average hailstone. On the telehandler, 2 air cannons loaded with dozens of golf balls have been rigged to launch directly at the house, replicating a very destructive hailstorm. And finally, Francesca's gearing up. She'll be shooting frozen paintballs out of a semi-automatic .50 caliber paintball gun.
It'll simulate about the same speed and impact that quarter-size hailstones would have.
Her target is the front of the house, complete with glass door and awning.
The awning is made out of the 3 most common roofing materials: aluminum, shingles, and vinyl.
The roof is our first line of defense against the elements, which means it's also the first to get damaged. The team wants to know which material can withstand the hailstorm best and which one will cost insurers the most.
Okay, go for it.
Hailstorms are rated on a scale ranging from 0 to 10, based on the size and speed of the stones, plus the storm's intensity. A storm with a rating of 10 can last for hours, and Francesca doesn't have enough golf balls for that. So instead, she's going to deliver a combination of a 2, 3, and 5 rated hailstorm all at once.
That was beautiful. It was like
Hailstorm.
violent Christmas snow.
Even though Francesca's paintballs were small, they were traveling close to the top speed a hailstone can reach, almost 200 kilometers an hour, easily breaking through the glass door.
You took care of the door.
I did, didn't I? And the windows.
Meanwhile, traveling at an average speed of 32 kilometers per hour, the larger salt rocks proved no match for any of the roofing materials. But then, there were the golf balls, traveling at 120 kilometers an hour with a collective weight of 7 kilograms.
Definitely a lot of damage. The vinyl stood up pretty well. The asphalt shingles look pretty good. It's the aluminum that is really, really banged up. This awning has seen better days.
I appreciate why you wanted to do this. It demonstrated hail well, but mine's much more simple, and it's much more destructive.
Brendan's test takes 200 lives every year and is the leading cause of weather-related deaths in North America. Behold, the flash flood. A flash flood occurs when heavy rains dump so much water, it's impossible for the ground to absorb it all. The remaining water accumulates, rapidly flowing downhill, often in the path of houses, which Brendan is about to demonstrate.
I've got 3 dump tanks up here. Each dump tank holds about 100 gallons of water. So when I pull them all at once, I got 300 gallons of water aimed straight at the front door.
Into the tanks, Brendan adds another ingredient to the potential watery devastation: debris.
It's the kind of stuff that would actually get picked up during a flash flood.
During a flood, large objects such as these are propelled by the force of the water, ramping up the damage. It's all aimed at the house.
Are you guys ready in there?
All right, bring on the flood.
Flash floods arrive without much warning, with the storms often miles away from the flood path. And just like a real flood, anyone still inside this house would have no way of knowing that hundreds of gallons per second were about to be unleashed on their front door.
All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1, go!
This is like 300, 400 gallons just devastating the house.
And this is when it came to a full stop. Imagine this was a real flood. It would have kept coming and coming and coming.
If this were your home, there's almost nothing you could do to prevent this devastation. A flash flood like this could lay waste to your entire house. And even worse, you'd have almost no warning before it happened.
What do you think?
This is absolute destruction. Francesca's hailstorm looked spectacular, but it didn't really cause much damage. Brendan's flood, however, wreaked havoc on our door, on our front entrance, and on our basement. In the battle of hail versus flood, I gotta give it to flood.
Under the hot sun, the last thing you'd think of is a snowstorm. But snow can be your house's worst enemy. Catastrophic winter storms strike North America every year, causing over $700 million in damages. And most of it impacts the spot right over your head.
Today we're testing to see just how hazardous it is when too much snow collects on your roof.
Most roofs are designed to support a snow load of 50 to 100 kilograms per square meter. However, a winter storm is often accompanied by strong winds that can cause snow to drift, creating isolated accumulations that overburden the roof structure.
We don't have a snowstorm today, but what we do have is gravel and a huge conveyor belt.
Okay, bring it in.
At more than 2.5 times the weight of snow, the team shouldn't need much gravel to cause a breach. And by using the conveyor belt, they'll be able to focus it onto one spot, replicating a roof-busting snowdrift.
Okay, go, good, that's good.
With everything in place, Brendan starts the snowstorm.
Take it easy, go slow.
As they get older, most roofs develop weak spots, and it's here that the team is aiming the gravel. If the roof is going to collapse, this is where it will happen.
The front here, where all the water's pooling, that means that our roof has already started to bow, and that's exactly where we want our gravel to land.
The pile has almost reached the equivalent of 1 cubic meter of snow. Including the weight of the water, this is well past the 300 kilogram per square meter capacity of the roof. But the house is yet to creak.
And... guys, this is not working for us, all right? Those beams up there are double joist, and they run the entire span of the roof.
Built like a tank, this house is putting up a fight. If the team wants to simulate a real disaster, they'll need to focus their assault on the inside. But before they do, Dan has another winter remedy that might cause more harm than help. The space heater. Like a little fireplace, it provides supplemental heat throughout the long winter nights. But just like its flame-filled counterpart, this thing's also a killer, 54 times more likely to be lethal than a central heating system.
Whenever you've got a heating element with combustible materials, there's potential for hazard.
A space heater uses metal coils to convert an electrical current into heat. As the coil charges up, it radiates that heat, and a fan behind blows the hot air into the room.
Space heater's been running for about 20 minutes. To the naked eye, it doesn't seem that hot. But when you put the thermal imaging camera on it, you can tell the coils are above 340 degrees Celsius. Now the obvious hazard. What happens when the space heater gets knocked over? It turned off because every space heater has built-in safety mechanisms. To show you how truly hazardous this can be, I'm gonna have to disable them.
New space heaters come with 3 different safety features. A grate, which keeps objects from touching the heated coils. A tipping sensor, which uses gravity and a counterweight to interrupt the power if the space heater is not standing vertically. And finally, the thermostat, which keeps the heater from burning things up.
This is the on and off knob, but it also has a built-in thermostat. That's why I have to take out the entire thing in order to make this work. With the modifications I've made to this space heater, it's become a real hazard. So to show you a real-life scenario, I've modified 2 more. It's not uncommon for people to use multiple space heaters in one room, and they often put them in very unsafe places. Whoops.
With the malfunctioning heaters now inches away from the highly flammable bedroom materials, Dan has created quite the fire hazard. Exactly the circumstances for a bedtime inferno.
One less fan.
It doesn't take long for things to heat up.
Oh. Oh. The bed is officially on fire.
Just 5 minutes in, the overheated coils burn out the fans. But the hazards are far from finished.
The carpet one's making a lot of smoke, but the only fire we got is coming out of the bed.
Not only has the fire erupted out of control, but the fumes coming from the nylon carpeting, polyester curtains, and cotton comforter are creating a toxic mix, just as deadly as the fire itself.
I'm gonna have to put this stuff out.
Let's not forget, the coils are still red hot.
Whoa, hey there. Oh, bye.
It's clearly time to pull the plug.
It's making really bad smoke. I'm gonna put it out. Hey, this one's out. Hey. I'm not picking around here. All right, get out.
Oh my God, look at that smoke. There was a lot of smoke in there.
A heater might be designed with safety in mind, but it only takes minutes for a malfunction to become life-threatening.
The worst part about that fire is that it didn't make a sound. So if you were sleeping in that room, you would have been dead in 10 minutes.
Maybe this winter, try adding another blanket instead. The situations portrayed in this program are very dangerous. They have been performed by trained professionals in order to replicate worst-case scenarios of real-life hazards. Viewers should not, under any circumstances, attempt to replicate any of the situations presented in the program.
Keep it going. Okay, Cole, good, that's good.
The Hazard team is putting aside the fact that it's summer to test how much snow it takes to collapse a roof. Using gravel, they're simulating a snowdrift buildup that's heavier than the average load capacity of a roof, 300 kilograms per square meter. But so far, it's holding strong.
Those beams up there are double joist, and they run the entire span of the roof.
Whatever your climate, there are 2 basic types of roof construction. The pitched roof has a slope of 10 degrees or more. Once the snow load reaches a certain level, it will slide off under its own weight. The flat roof, however, needs to be much stronger, as the snow has nowhere to go, allowing for larger buildups that could be catastrophic. To compensate, Builders sometimes reinforce these roofs to ensure they can withstand the extra force. Exactly why Dan suspects the roof is still standing.
Brendan, cut it, all right? Francesca, cut it. It's not working. Cut it. This is not working for us, all right? Nobody makes things like that anymore. They're way too strong. We're gonna need to compromise them.
That could happen in a real home. Poor carpentry, no maintenance.
Yeah, maybe there's a leak in the roof and they start to eat away at your beams. So we're gonna have to get in there. Let's go.
With so much weight on the roof, going inside the house is a real hazard. So the guys have suited up and will only be making the minimum amount of changes necessary to simulate poor maintenance in a normal home. Once compromised, it's impossible to know how much snow a roof can support or for how long. And the guys don't want to find out the answer until they're back outside.
Do we do any more or do we go?
Let's do these 2 more and then we're good.
Dan! I think I can hear creaking.
With the joists weakening and 360 kilograms of gravel sitting on top, it's time for the team to get out of the building. But before the experiment can start back up, there's one more cold weather hazard Brendan wants to show you. When the temperatures plummet, many of us forget that our houses feel the effects of the cold as well. All it takes is a small crack in a water pipe, and as much as 950 liters of water a day could be seeping into your home. Something 250,000 families experience under the harshest winter conditions every year. Allow Brendan to demonstrate.
Metal pipe filled with water. Liquid nitrogen. This is what happens when your pipes freeze in the winter.
At minus 196 degrees Celsius, Brendan's using liquid nitrogen to accelerate the freezing process of a harsh winter night. In only a few minutes, the liquid nitrogen freezes the water trapped inside the pipe, which rapidly expands by 9%. And the result?
So you see that? You see the crack? That's what happens to solid cast iron when it freezes in the winter. It cracks your pipes. That's the power of the frozen water in your pipes.
Cracked pipes on average cost homeowners $6,000 in repair bills. But it's easy to avoid by insulating the pipes, installing heat tape, and even letting a tap drip on an extra cold night.
Now what do I do with all this liquid nitrogen?
Liquid nitrogen is a cryogenic fluid that boils at minus 196 degrees Celsius. Anyone can buy it, and it's used in everything from science projects to preparing gourmet cuisine. But don't underestimate its danger. This stuff can cause severe frostbite when exposed to skin. But Brendan wants to show how this cold substance can actually create a miniature weather system. When nitrogen hits the pool, its extremely low temperature causes the moisture in the air above to condense into clouds, forming a tiny tropical storm in the pool. Having weakened the joists, the team's 360-kilogram artificial snowdrift could collapse at any moment. But Mother Nature can still make this scenario a lot worse.
The second load is reaching the top.
Over a long winter, the hazard created by the team could easily sit undetected for months, weakening the beams further with each passing day.
Nice, guys. It's looking really good.
If another storm were to hit the house, it could be a family's worst nightmare. But the team's going to show just how bad a winter can get. On average, a city in North America suffers 5 winter storms a year. And while a roof may be able to take 1 or 2, unless the snow is cleared or allowed to melt, the weight will keep building.
Just keep going like that, guys. It's perfect.
Already past its maximum load limit, there's no way to tell if or for how long the roof will last.
Guys, we are starting to have a collapse. The water is draining. It's important to remember that gravel is about 2.5 times denser than snow. So this represents a much bigger pile, but it still didn't take that much to start the roof collapsing. It's not completely down, but it's dropped a good 2 feet.
All the water pouring in.
Pouring through.
Make no mistake, the breached roof is already a hazard, exposing the house and anyone inside to the severe cold of the winter. But nature can be very unforgiving, with snowfalls lasting for hours and hours. And so with that in mind, the team continues adding to the load.
Guys, I'm hearing some creaking.
With the equivalent of 3 cubic meters of snow on a single spot, it finally gives way, completely destroying one side of the house. While a hazard like this can be avoided, without proper roof maintenance and regular snow clearing, you could be left out in the cold.
What most people don't realize is if you have a flat roof and there's a lot of snow accumulation, this can be the end result.